Hi there, this is Art and Such, and today I have for you a video tutorial on how to make Ori from the video game series. I am going to be making a couple of changes here, one of them being to shorten up and round out the ear so it'll look a little more like this. And the other is that I'm going to be using some larger black beads on the eyes than the ones I have here. But you can also use bands if you so choose. I'll just show you here, I've got a little figurine. So this is what he looks like in the show, and I tried to get him close. You can use clear bands or white bands or pale blue or glow in the dark for the body and head, depending on what you have. As I said, for the eyes, black beads or black bands are probably your best bet. And the nose, sometimes it looks blue, sometimes it looks like a purpley pink. I think I'm going to do a pink one this time. You just need one band for that. Otherwise, you'll want to have on hand a hook and holding hook, a couple of C-clips, and your loom in the offset configuration. We are going to be doing a lot of this on the hook, and I've jumped ahead and made one of each of the two pieces. So I'll show you how to do each part, and then I'm going to ask you to pause and do the second one on your own. So to begin, I'll do this backwards here. We're going to first make the little center ear pieces. So on your hook, you're going to take a single, wrap it on, twist it 1, 2, 3 times. Take a single, stretch it, twist it, bring it back over itself so it's nice and tight. Put that on the end and slide over. And we need 3 more doubled over singles. So here's the second one. Third one. And fourth one. Now at this point you can pause and make a second one, or if you'd like you can watch through and make one of each piece and then go back and run through it a second time. I'm going to do these reverse order here. So the next one will be the feet and the legs. And we're going to start with a single, wrap it on the end 1, 2, 3 times, and pull this onto 4 doubled over singles. So the same thing we did with that, the little antennae horn piece. And that's going to be for the toes and the feet. So 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to take a set of 3 bands together and put those on just as they are. So 3 bands. Now if you feel that's too hard or you're really trying to save your bands, you can probably get away with 2. I'm using the 3 so you get a little bit of added thickness here. So put 3 bands on the end and slide that first piece over. We're going to do that again, 3 bands, and slide it through. And one more time, 3 bands, slide it through. And for this last one, we just want 2 bands. Put those on the end and bring that piece over. Almost lost it there. Okay, so we have this top part and we have our legs. And let's do our arm next. For the arm, take 2 bands. And this is another place where if you'd like to save your bands, you can do a single. I did 2, so we have that added thickness again. Take 2, wrap them once and twice. Put it onto 2 bands. And you can replace it. Take 1 band, wrap it on the end of the hook 1, 2, 3 times. And then you're going to take that piece you just looped and bring this into the middle. So pull the farther end over and shift it until it sits between the 2 sides. And this is going to go onto 2 bands again. You want to try to keep this in order as much as you can as you slide it on. Center it as best you can. And, oh, you know what? I think I wanted 3 there. You could do 2 there or 3. And I did want 3, so I'm going to go back and change that. Sorry about that. But you can leave it at 2 if you're comfortable there. Hold on 1 second. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put it on 3 instead of the 2 to make it a little bit thicker. And then a second set of 3. And 4 sets of doubled over singles. You can see here, this will make it a little bit thinner as it approaches the shoulders. So 1 doubled over, slide it through. 2. 3. And 4. We will make our tail next, and then we've got the ear, and those are, I believe those are all of our limbs and additional and add-on pieces. So after that, we'll be ready to loom to get the body set to loom. Okay, for the tail, you can decide how long you want it to be. Mine, I have 17 bands long. So take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, and doubled over singles, stretch, twist 1, and we're going to go up to 17. 2. If you're more comfortable doing this on the loom, you can certainly lay these out on the loom and then add on, transfer, extend as required. 4, 5, 6. Now these bands I'm using, they're the jelly kind. They do tend to be a little bit tighter on the doubled over poles. So you might find if you're using a different kind of band that you want to adjust your tension. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can play with that as you go. 8. If you're really struggling with the doubled overs, you could keep your tail at just single bands or double bands. This will give it the nice tightness though. And this one is 11, I believe. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It's only recently I came across a video game. It's Ori and the Will of the Wisps. A friend of mine is playing, and I've been watching and cheering him on. Love the music. It's very relaxing, and honestly the little Mokis and all the characters are so cute. I thought this would be a neat thing to, oops, oh, I thought that has popped, a cool pattern to try and design here. Alright, okay, so that's our tail, and for our revised ear, this guy, we're going to come to the loom for that, and I'm going to grab my pattern design picture here. Okay, we're doing all doubled over bands for this section, so each one is going to be stretched and twisted. We're going to start at the top side. Just have a look at this. Now my ear, this is the top of the ear. It's still pretty rounded. If you want it to taper out more, you can add a couple of extra doubled over bands when we get to the bottom. But I'm gonna do it the way that I did there just because I kind of like the way it looks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to come down 6 times on that side. I'll hold this up for you in just a second. My fingers are starting to hurt from the band's tightness. My hands are too big for these. Okay, so this should reach you down to the 7th peg now. That's where it should end. And you're going to go to the 2nd peg down on the side, do a doubled over, and bring it to the 3rd peg down in the middle. And then we'll come down 3 times with doubled over singles in that row. So from the 3rd to the 4th, the 4th to the 5th, and the 5th to the 6th. And come back in diagonally from the 6th center to the 6th side. So there we are. Okay, we need a holding band on the 7th peg down on the side. So the last peg that you used, put a single, twist and wrap it 1, 2, 3, if you can manage it 4 times. And I'm just going to put 1 holding band to keep this nice and tight. Because the bands are already very tight, we don't need a lot of them in this case, and we want it to be a little rounded. So I'm doubling over a single, it's going across the 4th and 5th pegs down in the middle, and the 4th peg on the far side. We make a little triangle, and then we're going to loop up. So you need to take your hook, point the open part up and away from you, push it through that holding band, and carefully pick up the doubled over single that's sitting underneath. Wiggle it carefully around and onto the next one. And now I'm going to go into that 6th peg down, grab the doubled over single that's coming diagonally and bring that back to the side. I'm going to loop up the middle row and push back your triangular holding band when you get to it. You can see this is very tight, so I'm going to push the band down to where I can see and grab it, and come up again one more time and back in to that first row. My loom is feeling the tension. I'm going to have to pop some of these off soon. Okay, go back to the 6th peg down because you've looped up once. We're going to continue looping to the very top now. So get the next 2 and bring it forward. If you feel like your loom is getting a little too tight and you have some of your pieces secured, you can start to release them as you go upwards. Just make sure you have it on first. And this will lessen the pressure, the tension on your loom. We'll also keep the bands in the ear from getting super stretched out while you're working on finishing the section up. Okay, and onto the top one. I know this is the crummiest part for the additional piece setup here, but we're almost done. And hopefully you've got a strong loom and bands that aren't too stretchy. Okay, put your hook through the bands on that peg, make sure you've got all of them, and you can pull it off. And now we should have all of the pieces and be ready to do the layout for the body. Okay, so just a quick word is that I'm going to be making the head and the body on the loom together because I'm going to be putting all of the bands, letting the bands overlap between the head and the body. So he isn't going to have very much of a neck. If you feel like this is too hard, you can jump ahead a little bit, do the body, loop it up, and then stick that on the bottom of and then put down the head and stick it on the bottom of the head. This is a messy, bothersome part to do, but it makes a really clean look when you're done. All right, we're just gonna launch ahead here. We're gonna go ahead. So I've got my things completely out of order here, but we'll figure it out. You are gonna get 2 bands ready. And you're going to find your little ear pieces. Those are the center, or the center antenna pieces, I should say, rather. I'm going to get a couple of these out of the way so I can get to mine. This is the problem with doing things out of order, which I decided to do this time around. Okay, I've almost got them. So your little antenna pieces, those are the shortest ones. Those are the 4 doubled over singles. You're going to take one of those and put it onto 2 of the bands. So put it on the end of your hook and slide it over and replace. So it should look like this. And this bound is going to go, or these bounds are going to go from the top center to the top side. Now I've got a kind of maxim that when things are difficult in the design phase, you think it usually goes smoothly in the video, and if the design went flawlessly, there's something that's going to go funny when I go to make the video. But so far, the design was a little bit of a challenge. I'm doing the same on the opposite side here. So I'm hoping that means that this one's going to come out perfect for you. We won't have to go back and do much change-ins or fixing. Okay, so those are going to be the little antennae, and they're super cute. And we're going to come down 3 times in the middle with double bounds. So just 2 together. And we're coming down once, twice, and 3 times. And that takes you to the 4th peg down in the middle. On either side, we're coming down twice with double bounds. And then you want to come from your 2nd peg down on each side with double bounds to the 4th peg down in the middle. So let me pop those on and I'll hold it up for you to see again. That's what we have so far. We'll add on our features as we go here, I think. Yeah. Let's just get our framework body layout here. So this is going to be our busy peg. You want to try and keep the pieces in order as best you can on that 4th peg down. We're going to take 2 more and come to from the 4th center to the 4th side. Repeat on the opposite side. And let me do a quick count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of double bounds down either side, starting at the 4th peg. I totally just forgot what I said. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if I know he's a really, he's a little tiny figure, so if you want to make the body a little bit shorter, you can, but just bear in mind that the legs and arms are supposed to be proportionate too. So if you do make the body a little shorter, a little squatter, you will still have long arms and legs, but at your discretion, you can play around with these lengths if you are wanting to. And I think that's something I did struggle with this pattern, is he's supposed to be really, really petite, and it's hard to get that detail without, without keeping it a little bit larger. Now the middle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bounds, 4 sets of bounds we're going to put down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to have to open my other tag here. And on the next one, you want to get your tail handy. And here's my tail here. Actually, I'm going to put my ear on now. the ear is going to go onto the second peg down from the top. And that will get it out of the way so I can reach my tail in a second. Okay, so we'll put the ear and then I'll have easier access to the tail. Hopefully you will too, but I suppose it'll depend on which order you did things in here. Okay, I want this to go this way. Oh, bother. Trying to flip this so that the tips point the way I want them to. But I have to get it on the right hook and in the right direction. Okay, there we are. So those are the ears on now, second peg's down. And now I've got my tail, and that's going to go onto 2 bands. So put it on the end of your hook, slide your tail over, and stretch it from the next unused pegs here. So that's your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th to 9th pegs. And we should be ready to get the arms and the legs on now. So our arms, those are the ones that had the thicker piece and then the thin. Those will go onto your 4th pegs down. Transfer all the bands over, make sure you've got them all. And the other side, same thing. This is the leg I have here. We want this to go onto there as well. I'm just flipping mine over so that they kind of curve up in the same direction. But you can really put them on any which way. It's just a matter of preference here, I guess. Okay, last piece here. There we go. And now we can take the legs. If you need to turn one of them around so that they're both pointing the right way, you can do that. You can use another hook to assist if you need as well. And place those onto 2 bands. We're going to bring that from the 9th. I have to count again. Basically the bottommost pegs that haven't both yet been used, or that you finished on. Okay, almost there. So it's sitting just under the tail. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the 9th pegs down on either side. And you are gonna get your hook between the legs and bring that band over that middle peg that the tail is on. Okay, we can put on our holding bands now. And I'm just using singles, I'll put it in the package here. Just using singles, and they're going straight across in diagonals. So bring it across the 8th pegs. And the pegs above those. And the pegs above those, and the pegs above those. So you should have 4 single bands making triangles starting under the arms. And we can put on our facial features here. So we need our eyes. I'll show you a couple of ways to do this. If you are using black bands, you'll take your black band, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times on the hook. Take a second, 1, 2, 3. And place that onto a doubled over single. Like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of ways, so bear with me or jump ahead. But that would be option 1, and this would go from the 2nd peg down to the 2nd peg down, like one side to the other. and then you would get your hook between, separate, and bring one part of that band above. So that's option 1. Option 2 is similar, but we can get you more color going here. So option 2 would be you take a white band, put it on your hook. 1, 2, 3. Wrap your black band over on one side twice, the other side twice, and do that a second time, and then pull that onto your doubled over and bring that through. Third option would be to use a bead with a large hole, like a pony bead, and in that case you can simply pull that onto your hook and transfer it onto a doubled over bead and attach it on those second pegs. Third option, if like me you've got beads with smaller holes, you can use a piece of dental floss or a thin wire, needle and thread. Push the floss through. This part's a little bit tricky, but you get the feel once you practice it a bit. Double over your single. Put your floss through. Return it through both of the beads. And you might find you might want to put that band, doubled over band, on a hook or something else while you're doing this part, as long as you can keep that hole, like that opening on the band. Okay, and slide it through. And what we're going to do is get this band onto the second peg down, slide these on, and put the other end onto the second band across on the side. Oh, I didn't anticipate this. These might be a little tight to fit on here. Uh-oh. You know what? I might end up doing bands after all myself. The bead I used for the other part was fit on here a lot more nicely. Okay, I'm sorry, that didn't work. Those beads have too small a hole. I didn't test them first. Okay, I'm going to go back to method 1 then, because I kind of like the way the bands looked on here anyway. So, but if you were doing the beads, it would be the same. You get your beads onto your doubled over, transfer it second peg to second peg. I hope I haven't overwhelmed you with options and techniques here, but I feel like the more choices you have, the better, because that allows you to work with what you have and better create the effect you might want. Okay, so I'm just going to do the bands then. That's too bad. Oh well, I'll use those beads for something else. If you are doing the nose, okay, if you're doing the nose, and this is optional, you can see on the little guy here, he doesn't have a color on his nose, but if you're doing the nose, you can do black, blue, pink, purple, nice and tight. Wrap 3 or 4 times, pull it onto a doubled over single clear, and this is going to go onto a doubled over single, and we're going to stretch that doubled over single from the third peg down on one side to the third peg down on the other. And even if you aren't doing the nose, you still want to have a doubled over single band going across here, and then you can bring it up over or around that third peg down. Okay, so either way, you do want a triangle here. If you've got the nose on it, then it's 2 things in one. And okay, I think that's good for that. So the last thing is I'm going to do a little side extension that will round off the face. It'll make it a little bit wider. So this part's pretty quick. It's a single wrapped once and twice, pulled onto 3 sets of double or 2 bands. So 1, 2, and 3. You're going to take the bands that are on your hook, transfer it onto the top center peg. Once again, if you're feeling this is getting too overwhelming, you can skip this part, but it's a nice addition. Find the top or the end of that chain and put your hook through. And you're going to bring this around onto the third peg down on the side. Okay, so it's stretched from here to here. You want to take one piece out of each of these chains and bring it over the top side peg and one over the second side peg, and that'll keep it nice and snug. We'll do one of these for the other side and then we'll be ready to loop. So wrap twice, pull onto 3 sets of double bands. Two and 3. Attach on the top center. Push it down a little bit if you need to. Get your hook into that bottom of that chain. Bring it around. It can go behind the ear or over, but you probably will find it easier putting it over, especially as we are doing this little connecty piece here. And if the ears are a little too far back, we can pop them through when we are done. That's what I did the last time and that worked out okay. Okay, we only need one of these. And all right, we've got everything together and laid out. We can start looping up. So I'm gonna start on the bottom side. There's a row at the underneath everything that's coming through. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Those are the ones you want to be looping up. So push back the bands that hold the legs, get those bottom 2, carefully bring them around and over onto the next peg, like so. Push back that holding band, get the next 2, bring it forward, push back, and you're going to go right up to the arms. And then you want to reach under and through the arms. You can use your fingers if you need to pull these out. And you're going to get the 2 diagonal bands. Bring them up and through, and now this side row should be secure. And we're going to start doing the same thing for the opposite side. You can turn your loom around if you need a better view or reach here. Last one, and reach through the arms to get the diagonal shoulder piece that's going to the center there. Okay, you want to go to the bottom part between the legs now and take those bands, lift them straight up over the legs and onto the peg above, and continue looping straight up until you reach the 4th peg from the top where all those pretty bands are. Okay, check that your body's all set. If you want or need, you can loosen up some of the bands on the lower couple of pegs. That will ease things up on your loom a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to stop it here so that I can see into this piece. I'm going to try and stay on camera as best I can, but bear with me. This, you'll realize right away, is the hardest part of this project because all the bands are the same color. Now I'm looking very closely and I can see that these bands are sitting above the other side and the middle ones. That's the order I put them down in. So these are the ones I want to reach, and I want to push back the bands on top of it. So what I find helps is if I use a hook or a finger, pull it to the side, then you can see it moving around in there. And when you reach through, you're going to carefully get just those bands. And this might take a couple of tries and you might get the wrong ones and have to put them back. But take your time with it and that'll give you a nice clean looking neck when we're done. So you'll see something like this. There won't be any twists across and you won't see these sides being pulled out of the way if you got the right ones. Now the next ones, this is at the bottom, this is next, and then the holding bands are next. You can turn your loom, use your fingers, use your hook, shift it about, whatever you need to do. so that you can see and grab the next two. And if you're having a truly miserable time, then again, you can do the body separately, put it onto two bands and then attach it, but you'll have a little connecting neck piece. And go back in last time for the bottom two, bring them forward. So we've looped up here, here, here. And now I'm gonna loop up the left side, get the bottom two, push back everything else, use your fingers and hook as you need. Bring it onto the next peg up, push back everything and get those bottom two. And this is a very tight hair on mine, so do it carefully. I'm gonna take a couple more of these off to loosen things up a bit here. Now that we're looped up this far. Okay, and I'm gonna do the top side to the top middle. Once more, we want to get the bottom two bands. These have the antennae on them. And to the middle, it's a very busy peg. Don't let those jump off on you. Opposite side. Reach in for the bottom two. I had to pull them kind of loose there so that I could reach them. And bottom two. And come into the middle from the top center. I'll say this again, like really be patient, be kind to yourself. This is a hard part because this is very tight in here. When you come this far, you're doing great. We're almost done. This is the home stretch here. Oh, and it looks like I missed looping. Oh no, I missed looping this onto the, oh bother. I can see there's a loose band here, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna bring these back and fix that up. Well, it was going pretty smoothly, but this isn't a major fix. Just take me a second here. And almost, and there we are. And then we have to go up the last two times in the middle from the third peg or second peg down to the first peg. So reach under the nose, grab those two, bring it up once and reach between the eyes, grab them and reach up. Now you can use one, or I would recommend two bands because this is very thick. Put them on your finger, or a couple of your fingers. Now you're going to take your hook, point it the closed side down, straight down through all of your bands. Wiggle it around a little if you need to make sure you've got them. And you want to grab those two bands and carefully, very carefully slide this back up. Always a bit of an awkward angle when I'm doing this on video, because I'm used to having this like right on my lap. And there we go. And other side will go on. Take the side furthest from the end and pull it over the end of the hook to create a slip knot. And you can put this on a hook or a C-clip or just hold it for the moment. And very, very carefully as you can, start popping your bands off of the loom. Use the back part of your hook so that you don't catch the bands and get caught on them as you're going. And if you do see something that's loose and you think you don't want to do this again, try and catch it quickly, and you can secure it in when you're finishing off here. Okay. Almost, a couple more. That top one's gonna be a doozy. There. All right, find the side that you want for your front. I kind of wanted this to be my front, but I do like the way that okay, no, the tail has to go in the back. So the back side is where the tail is actually. You're gonna turn it to the back side, go under a band or two, grab your slip knot and pull it through, and put that on a C-clip. Now this is the reason that I really wanted to have bigger eyes, because mine sort of sunk into the face. But we'll do what we can with what we have here. So first thing, you want to stick your hook in around the nose area and pop those bands through to the correct side. If you didn't have a nose, you don't have to worry about it. You can also kind of pull your eyes out a little bit, pop them out a bit. If you feel like your ears are too far back and you want to adjust them, you can lift a couple of bands on the side and slide your ear through. Okay, same thing here. I'm gonna stick my hook through a couple and bring it over the ear. Same thing with the little antennae. If you want those to be close, like look like they're closer to the front, you can bring a couple bands over them. Oh, I really had wished these beads were the right size, because look how cute that would have been, but that's okay. Yeah, so I think we're all done. Mine is curled up quite a bit this time, but let me hold up the camera and you can see him. So here is our, oops. So here is our Ori. Yeah, we gave him the little nose, and I think he's not that bad. He's still kind of cute. I actually, somebody told me this guy looks a lot like the Y monkey, the little white Y monkey you see on Facebook and stuff if you take off the ears. All right, so there is Ori. Let me know what you think, and be sure to check out some of my other videos. All right, thank you for watching.